Lesson 8, Session 3, page 180. In this lesson, we are comparing two groups of objects in story problems, and when we are comparing the two groups, we can subtract. So we're learning how to compare to subtract in word problems. Put your finger under the word there. Here we go. There are 5 pieces of cheese and 7 mice. So we're going to compare the 5 pieces of cheese and we're going to compare the 7 mice. How many fewer pieces of cheese than mice are there? Let's compare them. Mouse, cheese, mouse, cheese, mouse, cheese, mouse, cheese, mouse, cheese. How many fewer pieces of cheese are there? Look, there's no cheese here and no cheese here. How many fewer pieces of cheese are there? 1, 2. We know we're going to be comparing two numbers, 5 and 7, right? 5, 7, 7, 5. Let's compare. So 5, is 5 bigger or smaller than 7? Right, 5 is smaller, so it gets 1 dot. And 7 is greater, so it gets 2 dots. We'll connect those. Let's read it. 5 is less than 7. Let's do 7 and 5. Which one is greater? 7. 7 is greater and 5 is fewer. Let's read it. 7 is greater than 5, right? So we know that 7 is more and 5 is less. We're comparing the mice and the cheese. So we see that there are more mice than there are cheese. How many fewer pieces of cheese? We solved that right there, right? So when you compare, you can write a subtraction problem to find the difference or what's missing or how many more, right? So here we have 7 minus. That means we have whole minus a part equals a part, right? So we have 7 as the whole. That was the greatest number, right? Here it says 7 is greater than 5. So the part we knew is 5. And we can count on from the part we know up to the whole. 5, 6, 7. Or the part we know here is 5, 6, 7. How many pieces of cheese are missing? 2. There were 2 fewer pieces of cheese. Number 3, read along with me. There are 8 triangles and 4 squares. How many fewer squares than triangles are there? Read it along with me this time in your head. Put your finger under the word there. Here we go. There are 8 triangles and 4 squares. How many fewer squares than triangles are there? There's our question mark. That's what we want to know. Close your eyes. There are 8 triangles and 4 squares. How many fewer squares than triangles are there? So we're going to compare the triangles to the squares, right? 8 and 4. 4 and 8. Which one is more, 8 or 4? 8 is more, so it gets 2 dots. 4 is fewer or less, so it gets 1 dot. Connect them. 8 is more than what? 4. 4 or 8, which one is more? 8 is more, so it gets 2 dots. 4 is less, it gets 1 dot. Connect. This 1 dot is less, right? Less. 4 is less than 8. So we're comparing 4 and 8. We know that this one is less, but what we're trying to figure out is how many less, or how many more triangles there are up here. So let's compare them. Triangle, square, triangle, square, triangle, square, triangle, square. There's nothing down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So how many fewer squares are there? There's 4 fewer squares. Uh-oh. They didn't give me any numbers this time for my equation. I'm going to go back to the story problem. There are 8 triangles and 4 squares. How many fewer squares than triangles are there? I know I have part whole. I know, oh, here's my minus sign. So what does that mean? Whole minus a part equals a part, right? And I remember that every time I have a subtraction symbol and I'm comparing two objects, I put the one that is the greatest number in front of the minus sign. So whole minus has to be the greatest or the most. So which one was more? 8 or 4? 8 or 4? Right, 8 was. And what was the part that we knew? 4, and we can count on from the part we know up to the whole. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many is that? 4. And the last problem, number 4, says 3 triangles and 2 squares. Who is right? 3 triangles and 2 squares. Well, there's 3 triangles and 2 squares. That's right. Circle the name. They wrote that a little funny, didn't they? Let's keep reading what this says. Buzz says there are 2 fewer squares. Boom says there is 1 fewer square. Let's do Buzz's first. Okay, let's read Buzz again. Buzz says there are 2 fewer or less squares. Let's compare. Triangle, square, triangle, square, triangle. How many fewer squares are there? Right. There's 1 fewer square. Is Buzz right? No. Buzz is right that there are 2 squares. Those are there. But there's not 2 fewer squares. There's 1 fewer square. Buzz is not right. Who is right? Boom says there is 1 fewer square. Is there 1 fewer square right here? Right, this is correct. This is the one that is missing. Boom is correct.